Housing Petalled Lotus. King Vikram was a legendary king of ancient India. In stories, he is often portrayed as the ideal king and is known for his generosity, courage, and justice. He also greatly respected and supported persons of learning. He appears in hundreds of traditional Indian legends, including those in Petalled, Vikram and Petalled, and Singhasan Batisi. Some scholars say that King Vikram was not a real person, because many stories about him are fantastic in nature. Many years ago, when today was just a dream, there lived a king called Vikram. One day, while hunting in the forest with his men, he saw a huge wild boar. The king chased the beast deep into the forest, which then suddenly disappeared into the thick undergrowth. The men who had not been able to keep pace with King Vikram looked high and low for him, but there was no sign of him. King Vikram, who had ridden far into the forest, realized that he was lost. He rode on slowly till he came to a lake. There he dismounted, watered his horse, and then sat down on the bank to rest. Looking around, he saw stone steps leading into the water. On the last step sat a young man, sad-eyed and thin. His bones stuck out sharply and his eyes had sunk into his head, and below them were dark hollows. King Vikram went up to him and said,
"Why do you look so unhappy, young man? Is there anything I can do for you?"
The young man looked out on the still waters, sighed and said,
"Why should I burden you with my sorrows? You may just laugh at my plight. Do you think you are the good King Vikram who helps anyone in need?"
"I'm King Vikram, and if you tell me what the matter is, I will help you."
"If you are indeed King Vikram, I will tell you all,"
the young man said.
"My name is Ajit Dey, and my father is King Jaswant Dey of Petalled. Even as a child, I was drawn towards our sacred texts, and I spent many hours in prayer. The luxurious life of the court held no charm for me. One day, I left the palace without telling anyone. I decided to go on a pilgrimage and visit the sacred shrines. After traveling for many days, I reached this lake. Tired and thirsty, I stopped to quench my thirst and rest a while. As I lay under a banyan tree, I saw a lotus rise out of the waters. No other flower could match its beauty. It had 1,000 petals in all the colors of Indra's bow, and its scent was sweeter than that of a jasmine. I came down these steps and stretched out my hand to pluck it, but before my hand could touch the lotus, it sank back into the water. I, who desired nothing, was now consumed by the need to get it. Every 8 days, the lotus appeared on the surface of the water, but each time I tried to pluck it, it sank back into its watery home. I don't know how many moons have come and gone, but I sit on these steps, hoping that the next time the lotus rises, I will be able to pluck it."
The young prince fell silent and his haunted eyes turned back to the lake. The king decided to stay by the lake and help the unhappy young man. A few days later, the lotus appeared and King Vikram too was struck by its unearthly beauty. With a prayer on his lips, he jumped into the lake. The water sucked him down and moments later, he found himself in a strange but beautiful city. In the heart of the city was a towering palace. King Vikram went in and came to a secluded garden. There were wondrous flowers everywhere and the trees were heavy with fruit, the likes of which are never seen in this world. In the middle of the garden was a lake, and on the placid waters, nodding and shimmering, were thousands of beautiful lotuses. King Vikram was about to pluck one when there was a loud cry. Guards rushed down of the palace with their swords drawn, but the valiant king fought them all off. beautiful lady appeared.
Who are you? And how have you come into my city where no mortal may enter?
She asked.
I'm King Vikram. I've sworn to offer my help to anyone who seeks it,
said the king.
Sitting on the stone steps that lead into your waters is a young prince who is enchanted with your lotuses. He will neither eat, nor drink, nor sleep until he possesses one. Please allow me to pluck one for him.
You may take as many as you wish, O king. Such kindness and bravery should not go unrewarded,
said the lady.
This palace and its wealth are yours. Come whenever you please.
The lady then plucked 100 blossoms and gave them to the king, who thanked her and swam back to the surface. The prince was overjoyed when he saw the lotuses.
Here, take them,
said King Vikram, unloading the flowers into the boy's lap.
They are all yours.
And then he told the youth about the underwater palace and the fabulous garden. The prince, instead of thanking King Vikram for the trouble he took, was filled with jealousy.
You were able to go down and see the beautiful lady and her garden only because I told you about the 1,000-petaled lotus. The lady of the lake would never have offered you her wealth and her palace if it hadn't been for me,
said the young prince sulkily.
I need nothing from the lady of the lake or from you,
King Vikram said quietly.
I went into the lake because you were pining for the lotus. I brought up the flowers because you wanted one so badly. You can enter the underwater palace as I did. All you need is courage, determination, and selflessness. Nothing is impossible for the brave.
Saying this, King Vikram got onto his horse and rode away, leaving the humble prince behind.